The Final Blessing from Coco. Now, this is another big spoiler moment, so if you don't want to be spoiled by Coco, don't listen to this. But throughout the whole movie, when Miguel is sent to the world of the dead, what they say the only way he can get back is through an ancestor's blessing or a family member's blessing. And throughout the thing, when he's given a chance to have a blessing, they always say that he's never allowed to listen or be a part of music, but he doesn't want that because he really likes music and his entire family doesn't. And I won't give away why the family hates music, but anyway. So they go through this big adventure, and the family soon realizes that they've kind of, how do I say this? It's like they didn't know the truth. So when his friend Hector tells the truth, and big spoiler, we find out that Hector is really one of his ancestors. And what happens is they go through this big adventure. Hector and the lady get back together, and when she gives out the blessing, she kind of does the saying that I give you my blessing to return home, to put up my picture, because if your picture's not up, you don't go to the world of the living to visit, and when he accidentally breaks it, that ruins her chance. So, but that's kind of a small thing, and what she usually would say is to never be a part of music again. And when Miguel thinks that, she really doesn't say that. What she does say is,
never forget how much your family loves you.
that quote just melted my heart. It's just such a nice quote and so heartwarming and nice, and I just really love what she says in the quote. And I think that's the point of the movie. It's just how much family and even old family really means to you. And just Coco's just a great movie about family and music, and I think that quote can just sum up the entire movie. And yeah, one of my favorite Pixar movies. Can't Buy Me Love from A Hard Day's Night. Another Beatles movie, yes, I know, but I did say I like A Hard Day's Night a bit more, and I really need to watch this again because I really like this movie. It's basically what the Beatles do, or one thing that the Beatles do when they're not in concert. They just play around, avoid paparazzi, and do stuff. And then in one of this, if I remember how this went, I guess they like run out of a building to run away from some people, and they go into this field. And when the song "Can't Buy Me Love" comes on, they're running around, playing, having fun, and it's a really feel good scene of them just having fun to this very catchy and fun song, and them running around and jumping and just having a lot of fun. And it's a really funny scene, and not a lot to say about it. It's just a very feel-good scene, and whenever I think of A Hard Day's Night, I think of that, and I think of Paul's grandfather, who's just a blast in the movie. But overall, that scene, very lighthearted, favorite part of the movie from a very good musical movie, and probably my favorite Beatles movie because all to most of the songs fit to the story. Like, they didn't distract from anything, which was my issue with Yellow Submarine. So, yeah, good movie, and easily my favorite scene of the movie. Not a lot to say, but yeah.
I suppose you realize this is private property.
Sorry we hurt your field, mister.
The ending to Halloween. Now, I will make this very, very clear. I am not a fan of scary movies. Though I did watch this one and I was very little. Like, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but this was one of the scenes that I always remember. And again, very, very big spoiler. So, Michael Myers escaped from an asylum, is going after this girl who we soon find out is one of his sisters, and I guess he's going to get her to basically kill off his family. Like, after her, his family that he lived with is now gone. So he tries to get this girl played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and did you know her mother's the shower girl from Psycho? Anyway, so what happens is the detective played by Donald Pleasant, who's been trying to go after him, comes in, and he shoots Michael Myers and he falls off the balcony of a house and lands on the ground, and he looks over and you see him on the ground dead. And when he goes up to Jamie Lee Curtis asking her if she's okay, he goes back and he's gone. Like, you don't see him running away, he's just gone. And that always scared me. It to this day it scares me. Like, that was probably one of the scenes that stood out to me that I still remember even years after watching it. Just seeing that he was there, he's gone for like maybe 30 seconds, and then he looks back and he's nowhere to be seen. It scares me so much, but it's like, I like this feeling. And like I said, I'm not a fan of scary movies, but this was just like a very good scary feeling. And I think lots of people call it like one of the best scary moments of all time and such. And yeah, this really stood out to me, and I just really like that scene. So yeah, big spoiler, not a lot to say, but just very chilling, good, scary scene. The Papers from The Social Network. Now, I'm not a big fan of dramas, but I don't know what gets me to not like this movie, but really like this movie. It's just, like I said, not a fan of dramas, but this was a really good movie. And so, for those who don't know, it's about how Mark Zuckerberg founded Facebook, but originally this was based on a book. But, oh yeah, this scene, probably the biggest spoiler in the entire movie, so just gonna give you that. I highly suggest you watch this, but biggest spoiler in the movie. So Facebook, as you all know, becomes really big. And with the help of the creator of Napster, sorry, the creator of him helps Zuckerberg and his friend out to make Facebook very big. And then when this scene happens, Zuckerberg invites his friend. I'm sorry if I don't know his name. He's just played by Andrew Garfield, but his friend gets an invitation to come to the headquarters for their 1 millionth member party. Though it really wasn't for that. He goes into this business meeting and reads these papers, and he finds out that he's not really going to own or he's not going to co-own Facebook anymore. Because he found these new people that I guess are going to support him even more, and he's basically throwing his friend out of the way. And that angers him so much.
You signed the papers. You set me up. You're gonna blame me because you were the business head of the company and you made a bad business deal with your own company?
It's gonna be like I'm not a part of Facebook.
It won't be like you're not a part of Facebook. You're not a part of Facebook.
My name's on the masthead.
You might want to check again.
It's because I froze the account?
You think we were gonna let you parade around in your ridiculous suits pretending you were running this company?
Sorry! My Prada's at the cleaners! Along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag!
Security's here. You'll be leaving now?
I'm not signing those papers.
We will get the signature.
Tell me this isn't about me getting into the Phoenix. You did it. I knew you did it. You planted that story about the chicken.
I didn't plant the story about the chicken.
What's he talking
You
about?
had me accused of animal cruelty.
Seriously, what the hell's the chicken?
And I'll bet what you hated the most is that they identified me as a co-founder of Facebook, which I am. You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
It's just a fantastic scene. We get the 2 points of view where we see how this affected Garfield's character, and we see him when he's getting sued. He just kind of tells the people what happens, and then we actually see what really happened, and it's just an amazing scene. The one thing about Social Network that makes it great is the music, which is done by Trent Reznor, if I'm saying his name right. He's from 9 Inch Nails, and God, is the music great in that movie, and really sets the tone or mood of the movie, especially in this scene. And just the performance, especially by Andrew Garfield, is really great. Shows a lot of emotion, and I was really invested in that scene, which I think if a drama can catch my attention, then I think it's a really great movie. So, just a fantastic scene. I always think of it. Great mood, great acting, great music. All out great scene to watch. The ending to Toy Story 3. Okay, I know probably 90% of the world has seen this movie, but if you haven't, spoiler alert. Very, 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 very big spoiler. And with this one, to get the feeling, I'm going to have to start from the beginning. So, in Toy Story 1, which might be one of, if not my favorite Pixar movie, we follow these toys who are owned by this kid named Andy. And we see Andy is most likely in elementary school, probably 3rd grade, I'd say. I don't know if they reveal his age, but I think he's in 3rd grade. But he loves his toys. And then in the 3rd movie, we time jump to him going into college. And it's, first of all, that's sad from the start because we've been following this kid since the mid-90s. And then in 2010, he's now a grown-up. And what basically happens is the whole plot of the story is Andy takes his toys and eventually is about to put them in the attic, which Woody sees that as a good thing. But when his sister asks Andy for help, since he put the toys in a trash bag, his mom thinks it's trash, and he takes them to the dumpster, which of course gets the toys thinking that Andy doesn't like them anymore, even though we clearly see he wanted to put them in the attic. So then we go to the daycare, bad stuff happens, but when Woody escapes, he meets a girl named Bonnie, and he sees that she really likes playing with her toys too, or kind of like how Andy did when he was young, and he meets some new toys, learns about the villain, and when he comes back and they go back to Andy's house, Woody makes a note about Bonnie, kind of telling Andy that if he wants to give away his toys, check out this girl's house. And then we see him drive to her house, and he basically is giving the toys that he played with so much to this girl. And then it's already emotional because he's introducing all the toys. And then he gets down to Woody, and she looks in the box, and she's like, "Hey, it's the cowboy." And Andy's showing a bit of resistance to giving Woody away, which it's already making the theater cry, and he's describing, he's like, Woody's been more than just a toy. He was my best friend. And then he's like, "Would you promise me to take good care of him?" And as we're already crying, there's a montage of him and Bonnie playing with the old toys until we get to the scene where he's in his car. And when Bonnie waves to him, she takes Woody's hand and makes it look like he's waving, which really shocks him. And then they drive away, and when Bonnie goes inside, the toys wake up and see Andy leaving. And of course, they all know he's leaving, they've seen him. And they all sit and look at him drive away. The kid, who's played with them for years and years, is now going away. They're most likely never going to see each other again. And Woody ends with probably the best part of the movie, which, in his words, he says,
So long.
by that point, the theater is flooding with tears. And, oh God, like, I think I was even, I haven't, I was like -7 when the first one came out, and even I cried at this one. It was just so emotional to see the kid that we've spent all this time with go away, leave his toys, but still give them good memories. And he probably did the best thing where he gave them to a girl that a toy knew that would basically treat him like Andy did in the past. And it, out of all the Pixar movies, that has remained my favorite moment out of any of the Pixar movies. It's such a tearjerker, but it's a very good scene and probably the best way to end Toy Story 3. And then, of course, they had to make more shorts and another movie's being made, but if they left it there, I think we'd be happier than usual. But I'm still happy that we got a scene like this, just very deep, emotional, and probably sadder than the opening from Up, which was another very sad scene. So, yeah, just great end to a supposed movie trilogy. Just a good movie, but a great ending to the life or the friendship of a toy and a kid that we've been following with for over a decade.